Welcome to the channel. My name is Matthias. Today we're going to finish off finally Axe Judgment Day. We are going to skim over Axe Star Fox, Axe X-Men, Axe Eternals. Then we're going to dive into Axe Judgment Day Part 6 and then Axe Judgment Day Omega. So without further ado, let's get into this. So the Axe Star Fox tie-in, it is a interesting one-shot. So what happened with Star Fox in this crossover is that he was able to use his powers to basically cheat his way into becoming Eternal Prime. And then with the Unimind and Eros' powers, they were going to try to sway the Progenitor's judgment, but it went south. So in this story, we have Zurus, who is freaking pissed off that Eros is the Eternal Prime now. He had lost his title to Druig, and now this dipstick is the Eternal Prime. But what happens as the issue progresses is that Star Fox actually ends up impressing Zurus with his leadership skills. Star Fox actually explains to Zurus that once they're done with this whole ordeal, he'll give back the title to Zurus of Eternal Prime. That it's really not his thing. And what's interesting about this one shot outside of that is that we get to see Eros use his powers in a different way. He's not using his powers in his normal hedonistic ways. He's actually helping people cope with the possibility that they're dealing with the end of the world. Then in the X-Men one-shot, it revolves around the fact that when Jean Grey tries to go solo and take down the Progenitor actually reminds her over the whole situation of all the terrible things that she did as the Dark Phoenix, which really wasn't her, but was her. It's comic books. And we've seen Jean Grey having to deal with this many times. Like, I know she destroyed the whole star system. That was pretty terrible, but as a story beat, it's like the 5th time I've read it. Now, for the Eternals one-shot, it revolves around Ajax, and she's going to confront directly the Progenitor, much like Jean Grey, but she does a better job. And the interesting angle of the story is Ajax, to be able to confront the Progenitor, she has to deal with all the lives that she has taken in every single one of her resurrections. But the main idea is that Ajax is like this priestess of the Eternals religion to the Celestials. It establishes that even though the Progenitor is a god to the Eternals, their god has to change and reflect the Eternals where they are at this moment. Then we jump to Axe Judgment Day issue 6, where we have two main situations. The X-Men, Avengers, and the Eternals have teleported all of humanity to these liminal spaces that the Eternals use that are in between realities. And the thing is that the Progenitor is not having it. The Celestial will not let humanity escape from their judgment. While all this is going down, we had Tony Stark, Jean Grey, Ajax, Makari, Wolverine, Mr. Sinister. I might be forgetting one character, but the thing is that they have infiltrated themselves within the Progenitor. Ajax and Phoenix confront the essence of the Progenitor itself. And we get a pretty interesting confrontation between Ajax and the Progenitor, where Ajax tells this being, which would be their god, that its judgments have been all over the place and very capricious, and that things have been going from bad to worse. And Progenitor actually recognizes that it is a very broken being, and it does not know how to deal with these contradictions. And what happens is, I have to add that also the Progenitor has a hard time understanding human empathy, and the fact that the beings that the Progenitor is a god to, the Eternals, pass a negative judgment on it. Ajax actually tells the Progenitor, and how would you judge yourself? And this really breaks this god. It's like, holy crap, I'm doing a terrible job at this. So what happens is, it ends up fusing with Ajax and creates this new being, a hybrid Eternal Celestial, and it will set everything back to how things were and will liberate the Eternals from their basic programming in general. I do have to mention that Cersei did sacrifice herself when she told the world that the Eternals take a human life every time they're resurrected. For some reason, prior to the fusion with Ajax, that was like a big no-no for the Celestial. and this god just murked her out of nowhere, which is the second time that Cersei's essence has been completely eradicated. But that aside, in the last issue, we're dealing with the fallout of everything that has gone down. So we have the Eternals trying to find their place in the world. Probably the most interesting part that we get in this epilogue issue is that Uranos will become a weapon for Storm. She's going to be able to use it on Araco if they have to deal with any external menace. She can use Uranos' powers for 1 hour. So finally, we finished this crossover. And in general, I really liked it, except for the middle part. It does drag and has a lot of stuff that just doesn't make any sense. But it starts strong and finishes strong. So we're going to leave this video here. I hope you guys liked it. See you guys next time. Bye.